All right, so let's take a moment to start to maybe mimic some of these hill graphics into something resembling what might look like height map hills of sorts. These won't be like real hills in the real world, just because of the kind of the fantasy nature of what we're doing. But let's start with just sort of a practice run. So, making sure I've got my ellipse selected. I think what I'll do. Oh, I should actually select it. Let's get back to where we were. There we go. So let's go ahead and select that. And I'm just going to, as a practice run, make something resembling a hill or make a circle. And what I'm going to do is use the gradient tool. Now, if you don't have it, you should be able to hover over the bucket tool, hold down your button, and it should be there. Otherwise, you can find it by going to your tools menu, and it should be under paint tools. And in essence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, within this area that I selected, I'm going to click and drag, and voila. All right, that's great. Nice little gradients, but it's backwards. I want the center part, which is going to be the higher part, to be light, and I want the outer part to be dark. Also, these values are the dark is a black and the white is a white. So let's change those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a select all. No, I'm not. I'm going to do a Control Z. I'm going to make sure that I select all. I'm going to grab my color picker and I'm going to select this background color that I have. And then likewise, I'm going to exchange the foreground and background by clicking on this little arrow between them. And I'm going to do the same thing for the white color. All right, so now I've got a uniform gray color, dark gray color. And what I'm going to do is I'll click inside of the active foreground window and I will just lighten it up a bit. And we'll go ahead and say, okay, so now when I do a gradient, let's do it when I create my circle, my hill shape. And when I select my gradient tool, we'll see something much more subdued and more realistic in this context. Now, if I don't like for example, you can see these little graphics, the hills are slightly different shapes. So you can play around with that a little bit. If you go to this, before hitting enter, if you go to the arrow, which kind of designates how quickly things change, the gradation changes, but there's a little white dot. And if I just move that around, I can sort of affect how quickly or how slowly the coloration changes. And then if I go ahead and hit enter, if I go ahead and select all, you can see that I have something kind of like an overly uniform hill that's functioning. So I'm going to stop there for the moment, but I think the next thing I'll do is I'll actually apply it. I'm going to undo this, and I will apply it sort of mimicking some of these graphics that are in place, and I'll do that shortly.